Sam Riddle, 93 KHJ.
Los Angeles. Hello, music lovers.
Sam, you were a big part of my life. I actually met you a couple of times, which we'll talk about, but I'm like the original radio nerd. So let's talk a little bit about your career. You were at KHJ, but you had been at the other two stations first. When you first came to LA, I think like 1960 or 61, you were on KRLA. And how did you get that job? Because you started out in Texas, I think.
I started
right?
out at a small radio station in Cleburne, Texas. Then all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls from other radio stations to consider coming to their stations.
So then you got a job at KRLA, and there was some pretty big talent there. Wink Martindale was doing the mornings, and you had Bob Eubanks and Roy Elwell and Dick Moreland and a lot of people. Now, Jack Kent Cooke owned that station at one time. Did he own it when you were there?
Jack Kent Cooke owned it. A great guy. Yes, I was there. It was at the Huntington Hartford Hotel in Pasadena. And the radio station was in one of the suites at the hotel, and there was a window, and people would come and stare in the window at the disc jockeys that were on the air at the current time.
Well, and KRLA was the #2 station at the time, because the big #1 was KFWB, and you moved over there. Talk about making the switch from KRLA to KFWB.
Yeah, KFWB was color radio, and everybody would sing the KFWB channel 98, Sam Riddle.
They still do. So here's when I first met you.
Yeah.
And this is a story you obviously will not remember, but it made a big impression on me. In 1964, on Saturday afternoons, KFWB used to broadcast from like a glass booth inside the Topanga Plaza as part of Wallach's Music City. It was their satellite studio. And Gene Weed used to do the show every Saturday afternoon. And he had a promotion where you could be a guest disc jockey. And I entered the promotion and I was selected. So I go down that Saturday afternoon, very excited to be a guest DJ on KFWB. And Gene was sick, and you came and filled in. And when you arrived, no one had told you about this guest promotion, that for an hour you're going to have some geeky kid who is going to be the guest disc jockey. But you were so nice and so gracious. It really, like I said, many years ago, but it left a big impression. So again, thanks for being so nice to me. I probably was terrible on the air, but you didn't say that.
Did you end up on a commercial radio station?
Yes, I did.
Then you were good.
Yeah, well, not at 14. I also saw you, because I want to get into television a little, because you were kind of the Dick Clark of Los Angeles, in that you had all of these television shows, as Mike mentioned. And one in particular that seemed to go on for a long time, and I don't know when it started, in 63 or 64, was 9th Street West, which was on every night on KHJ Channel 9.
Right.
I got a chance to be on there once, and it was quite a day, because your guests were Peter and Gordon and Marvin Gaye and the Beau Brummels, and it's kind of a fun story. The acts used to lip sync their songs.
Right.
And Marvin Gaye, and this was early in his career, he was still wearing a suit, was getting ready to sing his song. They were in a commercial break, and the kids were standing around him, and I could see that his hands were shaking. He was really nervous. And I said to him, "Oh, you don't have to be nervous. You're great. We love you. We love you. And anyway, you introduced him. We went on the air. He sang a song. He did great. The show moved on. You went to like the next commercial, and I felt a tapping on my shoulder, and it was Marvin coming to thank me for the pep talk. So that was really cool. And that show was live every night. Did you ever have any giant mishaps? Was there anything that you recall that were like huge screw ups? Since the show was live, there had to be some.
I just remembered Mick Jagger. The Stones came in like 2 minutes before 6 o'clock. And they came in just in time for me to introduce them on Hollywood a Go-Go. I noticed that something was happening, and I couldn't figure out what it was because we were live and I couldn't ask on camera what was going on. But apparently Mick Jagger had put a towel down his pants before he went on my show live. And the program director, Wally Sherwin, told them we're going to take him off the air unless he takes that towel out of his pants. And anyway, that was a classic in my career as well. 9th Street West was 5 to 6, I think, every day, and then I would do 9th Street West at 5 live, and then say So Long Music Lovers at 5:59 or 5:58:30. And then after I said So Long Music Lovers, I would run down the hall to go live at 6.
When you first went to KHJ and you heard the format, did it sound exciting to you, or were you leery of it?
Well, you know, the first person you met was Bill Drake. Yeah, and you know, and he had the radio voice, you know, and I had heard my jingle, Sam Riddle, 93 KHJ, Los Angeles, and then Bill Drake did, ladies and gentlemen, the Sam Riddle Show, 93 KHJ, Los Angeles, pal, and then I knew it.
Now, well, the guy who was the program director, the day-to-day program director, was this bearded gentleman named Ron Jacobs, who was a combination genius, crazy person. There is this book that Ron wrote, and I became friends with Ron, and I contributed to the book. But it is a book all about KHJ, and in the book, there's like 100 pages of detailed memos. You guys would get these like memos that were like 3-4 pages typed like almost every other day. My God, you had to be a Philadelphia lawyer to would you look at those memos and go, oh Christ, what is this now?
Well, as I reflect back, I never read them.
I mean, I imagine in those days, you couldn't walk around in public without people stopping you 15 times.
Yeah, no, I did a lot of autographs, autographs. No, it was wonderful. I was doing a contest, and nobody had ever won it, and I mean, and it had been going on forever, leading up. It was like the very first contest on Boss Radio, and the woman who won, I said, you know, and what's your answer? And she gave the correct answer, and I wasn't ready for it. I just like, oh, all of a sudden she's won a car and $100,000 or something like that. And it's just like I went from like, oh, that, yeah, yes, like that. Because I was shocked that she gave the correct answer.
Right.
and the hotline started flashing. And I realized it was Bill Drake calling me, and he had never called before, and Ron Jacobs didn't call. I mean, it was Bill Drake calling. And when Bill Drake called, you answered as fast as you could. And he said, tone it down just a little bit, Sammy. And he said, but you're sounding good. And then he hung up.
Between your radio programs and your TV programs, how many real big careers do you think you helped launch?
Sonny and Cher. I first met Cher at 17, while I was at KFWB doing the all-night show. Sonny Bono was the record promoter. He brought in a new discovery. They came up to the control room on Hollywood Boulevard in LA. Then when I got the TV show, the first guest stars were Sonny and Cher, my friends, and that's when I started realizing that I have a possible rock and roll career.
Well, I can think of one thing you might not have forgotten.
What?
Cam Nelson.
Yes, everybody used to think I was sleeping with her.
Were you?
No.
There.
Why not?
No. Read my book.
But you had a girlfriend at the time too that kind of helped you with the draft.
Yes. It was Nancy Sinatra, as a matter of fact. I was on KFWB at the time. Nancy said, "I'll call Daddy and see what I can do," and that's what happened. She called Daddy, and Daddy made a few phone calls, and I went into reserve, so I didn't have to go to war.
And instead of the barracks, you stayed at a hotel that had a swimming pool and it had a radio station?
Yes, KFXM.
Did you make any friends there?
Yes. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the program director.
Was it Al Anthony?
Yes, it was. Al Anthony, yes, exactly.
Did he try to get you to go to work for them?
Oh, he could never afford me.
This has really been fun talking to you and hearing your story. Like I said, you were part of the soundtrack of a lot of our lives, and we, to this day, have fond memories of you and KHJ and all of your TV shows, and thanks for all the entertainment.
But hold on, let me toast you. Here's to you, and thank you for inviting me to this. This has been a treat.